I was sitting in the waiting area of the US Embassy in Bangkok with a folder of documents I could barely look at. Bank statements showing $400, a printout of a one-way ticket to Portland that cost $1,847 that I couldn't afford. The woman behind the glass had already told me to wait while they reviewed my repatriation loan application. That's what they call it when you're an American citizen stranded abroad with no money to get home. I was 63 years old. 2 years earlier, I'd walked into Thailand with $310,000 and a plan to build something permanent. Now I was asking my own government for a loan just to leave. 2 years earlier, I was standing in my kitchen in Portland, Oregon, staring at the closing documents for my house, sold for $425,000. After paying off the mortgage and fees, I walked away with $310,000 in liquid cash. My late wife Sarah had died 3 years before from pancreatic cancer. The house felt empty without her. I was 61, recently retired from 35 years as a civil engineer, and I didn't know what to do with the rest of my life. My daughter lived in Boston with her own family. My son stopped returning calls. I wasn't a bad father, I was just absent. And now I had nothing left but money and time. I'd started traveling. Vietnam, Cambodia, then Thailand. I rented a small apartment in Bangkok near Sukhumvit Road and spent my days walking around the city, avoiding other expats who wanted to talk about visa runs and Thai girlfriends. I wasn't looking for that. That's when I met Ploy. She worked at a small bookstore near my apartment. English language books, mostly used paperbacks. I'd go in there once or twice a week. She was 36 years old, spoke perfect English, had a degree from Chiang Mai University. We started talking about books, then about life. She was the first person in years who seemed genuinely interested in what I had to say. After 2 months, I asked her to dinner. She said yes. That dinner turned into weekend trips to the beach. Then 3 months later, she was staying at my apartment most nights. I wasn't naive. I knew the dynamics of foreign men and younger Thai women. I'd seen it everywhere in Bangkok. Old guys with girls young enough to be their daughters, everyone pretending it was love. But Ploy wasn't like that. She had her own job, her own apartment, her own life. She didn't ask me for money. She split bills. When I tried to pay for everything, she insisted we take turns. That made me trust her. Looking back, maybe that was the setup. Maybe that's how the smart ones do it. Build trust first. Make it feel equal. Then later, when the ask comes, it doesn't feel like an ask. It feels like partnership. After 6 months together, Ploy started talking about Phuket. She'd grown up there. Bangkok is too crowded, too expensive. Phuket is different. You can have space. Land is still affordable. We could build something. A life. She showed me photos. Quiet beaches. Green hills. It looked beautiful. And I was tired of Bangkok. Tired of living in a rental that wasn't mine. Tired of feeling temporary. We started looking at land. Small plots in developing areas. Ploy knew people. Her cousin worked in land sales. Her uncle knew contractors. We found a plot in Chalong, 800 square meters, listed at 5.2 million baht, about $145,000. I'd done the research. I knew foreigners couldn't own land in Thailand, but there were ways. Long-term leases, Thai corporations, or the simplest method, you put it in your partner's name. You trust them. But ultimately, it's their land. Legally, you own nothing. Ploy explained it carefully. She didn't push. If you're not comfortable, we can just rent. We can lease something long-term. But if we want to build, if we want something permanent, the land has to be in my name. I can give you a lease agreement. We can have a lawyer draft everything. You'll be protected. I wanted to believe her. More than that, I wanted the vision she was describing. A house we built together. A place that was ours. Somewhere to finally stop running. I transferred $140,000 from my US account to Ploy's Thai bank account. The deed was processed within 2 weeks, 800 square meters in Geelong. Owner, Ploy Srisai. The lawyer gave me a 30-year lease agreement with my name on it. He assured me it was enforceable. I had legal standing. On paper, everything looked protected, but I knew the truth. If she decided to walk away, I had no real claim. The land was hers. The money was gone. For the first few months, everything went exactly as planned. We hired an architect, designed a 2-story house, 3 bedrooms, open-plan kitchen, large windows facing the hill. Modern but simple. Estimated construction cost was 3.8 million baht, about $105,000. I transferred the first payment to the contractor Ploy's uncle recommended, then the second payment, then material costs. Foundation work started. I was there almost every day, watching concrete get poured, watching walls go up. It felt real. I took photos and sent them to my daughter. She didn't respond. I told myself she was busy, but part of me knew she thought I was making a mistake. I didn't care. For the first time in years, I felt like I was building something that mattered. 3 months into construction, Ploy sat me down one evening. We were having dinner at a small restaurant near the construction site. She looked stressed. I'd noticed it for a few days but didn't want to ask. She finally told me. Her mother was sick. Diabetes complications. She needed surgery. The public hospital had a 6-month waiting list. Private hospital could do it in 2 weeks, but it cost 400,000 baht, about $11,000. Ploy had some savings, but not enough. Her brothers couldn't help. Her father had passed years ago. I'm so sorry to ask you this. I know you've already done so much, but I don't know who else to turn to. I didn't even hesitate. I transferred the money the next day. Her mother had the surgery. Ploy showed me photos from the hospital. Her mum recovering, smiling, holding Ploy's hand. I felt good about it. This wasn't charity, this was family. And Ploy was my partner. If we were building a life together, her family was part of that. But after that, the requests didn't stop. Her brother's motorcycle, 25,000 baht. Her cousin's business loan, 60,000 baht. Ploy always said they'd pay us back. They never did. Every time I brought it up, she got defensive. You think my family is using you? These are the people who helped me when I had nothing. I dropped it, but I kept a mental tally. $11,000 here, $700 there, $1,700 somewhere else. And construction had slowed. The contractor kept saying there were delays, material shortages, permit issues, always something. We were 6 months in and only halfway done. That's when Ploy told me we needed more money for construction. The architect had underestimated costs. Tile work was more expensive than expected. Electrical wiring needed upgrades to meet code. Roofing materials had gone up in price. Another 1.5 million baht, about $42,000. I didn't have $42,000 liquid anymore. I'd spent $140,000 on land, $105,000 on construction, probably another $25,000 on living expenses and Ploy's family emergencies. My savings were down to about $80,000, but I couldn't stop now. The house was half built. If I walked away, I lost everything. I transferred another $42,000. Told myself this was the last time. After this, the house would be finished. We'd move in, start the life we'd planned. I just needed to get through this final push. The house never got finished. 2 months after I transferred that last $42,000, Ploy stopped coming to the site. She said she was busy. Then her mother needed her in Chiang Mai. Then weeks turned into a month. Her belongings started disappearing from our apartment. When I asked, she said she was organizing. But I was worried. The contractor stopped showing up. Nothing changed at the site for weeks. I called Ploy. No answer. I texted. Nothing. I went to the bookstore. She'd quit 2 months ago. Her old apartment. She'd moved out. No forwarding address. That's when I finally admitted to myself what had happened. I'd been lied to, not in the way you see in movies. There was no dramatic reveal, no confrontation. She just slowly, carefully, methodically took everything and disappeared. I went to the lawyer who drafted the lease agreement. He looked at the paperwork and told me what I already knew. The land is in her name. The lease agreement is valid, but only if she acknowledges it. If she claims she never agreed to it, or if she says you violated terms, you'd have to take her to court. And even if you win, enforcement is difficult. You're a foreigner. She's Thai. The system doesn't favor you. Can I get my money back? Can I sue her? You can try, but you'd need to prove fraud. You'd need to show she never intended to honor the agreement. That's almost impossible, and legal fees would cost you more than you'd recover. My advice? Walk away. Cut your losses. I didn't walk away immediately. I couldn't. I'd put $227,000 into that land and that house. I stayed in Phuket for another 8 months, rented a cheap room in a guest house for 8,000 baht a month, about $220. I kept going to the construction site, hoping something would change, hoping Ploy would come back, or the contractor would show up, or I'd figure out some legal path forward, but nothing changed. The half-finished house just sat there, slowly being overtaken by jungle growth. The roof tarp started tearing. Rain got in. I watched my investment literally rot in front of me. I stopped eating properly, started skipping meals to save money. My savings account was down to $18,000. I was spending about $1,200 a month just to survive. That gave me maybe 15 months before I was completely broke. I needed to go home, but I couldn't afford a ticket. And more than that, I couldn't face the shame of going back with nothing. That's how I ended up at the US Embassy, asking for a repatriation loan. They gave me $2,000, enough for a one-way ticket to Portland, and about $150 left over. I had to sign documents promising to repay the loan within a certain time frame. The woman processing my application was kind. She'd seen this before. "You're not the first," she said, "and you won't be the last. A lot of men come here thinking they're building a future. It doesn't always work out." She didn't ask what happened. She didn't need to. The paperwork told the whole story. Bank statements showing the slow bleed of cash. Lease agreements that meant nothing. A half-finished house I'd never live in. I flew back to Portland on a Tuesday afternoon. Economy class, middle seat. When we landed, I took the MAX train because I couldn't afford an Uber. I stayed with an old colleague who gave me the guest room and didn't ask questions. I was 63 years old. I had $180 in my pocket. No house, no car, no plan. The hardest part wasn't the money, it was the silence. When old friends asked where I'd been, I just said Thailand didn't work out. My daughter finally called 3 weeks later. "Dad, what happened?" I told her. She was quiet. Then she said, "How much?" $280,000. Maybe more. She didn't yell. She just said, "I'm sorry, but I can't help you. You made choices. Now you have to live with them." I got a job 6 weeks later. Part-time work at a hardware store. Not engineering, not consulting, just helping customers find the right screws and explaining how to fix leaking faucets. The pay was $16 an hour. I worked 25 hours a week because they wouldn't give me full time. That gave me about $1,600 a month before taxes. Just barely enough to rent a studio apartment in a rough part of southeast Portland and buy groceries. I was 63 years old, doing the kind of work I'd done in college, and I'd probably be doing it until I physically couldn't anymore. There was no retirement now, no savings, no safety net, just work until I couldn't. then hope Social Security would be enough. I don't hate Ploy. That might sound strange, but I don't. I think about her sometimes. Wonder if she finished that house. I don't think she set out to destroy me. I think she saw someone with money who wanted something she could provide, and she took it. That's survival. I was someone who had what she needed, and I gave it because I wanted to believe we were building something together. The thing about losing everything is that you learn what actually matters, and the truth is, not much does. I don't need a house in Phuket. I don't need a partner. I just need enough to survive today, and then tomorrow. Maybe that's all any of us really need. The rest is just stories we tell ourselves. I told myself that building a house with Ploy meant something, that starting over in Thailand meant something. But it didn't, and now I'm 63, working at a hardware store, trying to stretch $1,600 a month far enough to keep existing. If you've thought about selling everything and starting over somewhere far from home, I can't tell you not to. That's your choice, your life. But I can tell you this, the thing you're running from doesn't disappear just because you change locations. I thought I was running towards something in Thailand, a new life, a new purpose. But I was really just running away from the emptiness Sarah left behind. And that emptiness followed me to Bangkok, to Phuket, to that half-finished house that still sits there rotting in the jungle. It followed me back to Portland, and it's still here now. Geography doesn't fix what's broken inside you. It just gives you new scenery to be broken in. I learned that the expensive way. Maybe you won't have to.